Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praise. It's the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to Earthly Mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Family, out here in California, there are all of these historical places called missions. The missions of the Catholic Church. And all of our fourth graders used to have to build a replica of a mission. My children have done that. And, they really romanticize these missions as places where, the natives were converted from their paganistic ways, and how these padres or these fathers, these priests were like father figures and just like little mini angels here on earth. And they were just so good to the people, because they were here to bring all these savages out of paganism and show them the light. Show them Jesus. Make their lives much better. Because all these devil worshiping, bloodthirsty savages needed to be civilized. That's the G-rated version of the history of missions. But now I'm going to give you a little taste of reality. I was like, man, forever I've always thought there's something else going on with these missions. This doesn't make any sense. You got all these supposed natives coming and living. And if you got hundreds or thousands of Native Americans coming to live at your mission, what exactly are they doing all day? What would you have 1,000 people doing all day long? I mean, that kind of sounds like, I don't know, if you have 1,000 workers, you could probably get a lot of things done, in a lot of these places. Now, you also think about these certain areas where they're building these missions. They're finding the power centers of our ley lines, and they're just establishing their missions on these areas. And you're seeing that around these areas is like prime real estate. We're going to take a look at a couple pictures. I've been to this one mission, and like I said, I like to go and look at the missions because I like to try to feel the power that's there. That's the land where my ancestors were before, and there still are. Their spirits still reside in those areas. Their story, my ancestor stories, these Aborigines that were in these forced to be in these missions, they called them converts, but we're going to find out that that's not necessarily true. But see, the thing is this: these Europeans, these priests, this abominable church did a lot of horrible and heinous things. And they did a great job of covering up all of their sins, except for the fact that the Most High made certain people write books and put information in other places so that when he awakened his people, they would get their hands on this information and they would actually expose these churches. And the story of my people, the story of my ancestors would be told. Their deaths would not be in vain. See, they were dying left and right in these places, and no one was around to tell their stories. Well, that's what our job is today. Our job is to be led to this information and to bring it out, because the churches have done nothing but go out of their way to lie and give false narratives and false histories and make you feel good when you go to church on Sunday, and they can make it feel like, oh man, you're giving your 10, 20% here to the church. Just think of, we have a great history of converting pagans and stamping out paganism. They came willingly to the church, and they realized the error of their ways, and they wanted to stay with the churches forever. Well, let's find out if that's really true. There's a picture right here of the Santa Barbara Mission. Been there before, and it's an absolutely beautiful area. You know, it's on top of a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Absolutely prime real estate. There's some serious power in those ley lines right there, because all the area around it is just absolutely beautiful. And if you just imagine this church being right there, and you having 800, 900 so-called natives at your disposal, you could probably get quite a lot of work done. You could probably make a whole lot of money for the church, by forcing them to actually, do some manual labor. But of course, they wouldn't do that because it's the church and they're all about, doing the right thing. Well, we're going to find out about that right now. Got this book called Prehistoric Man of the Santa Barbara Coast by David Banks Rogers. Now, when I found this book, I was looking through, I was like, man, okay, this is some information in here. Okay, this is pretty good stuff right here. And I was like, okay, let me see how much this book is. Hundreds of dollars. I'm like, why is this book so expensive? Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Well, we work together, Israel, like we've been doing, and we got our hands on this book. And you're going to see just in 2 paragraphs that whole lie about what the missions really were. It's just that whole lie is going to come falling down right now. I had the thought a long time ago that these missions were probably prison camps for our people, but I didn't have any proof, or I didn't have any information to support that feeling. But that's just something that the Most High put in my spirit, and He provided the proof right now. You're going to see why this book was so expensive, and you'll see other information to be brought out as well. But once you kind of get what's really going on, yeah, the Most High gives us a spirit, gives us this understanding, like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. These people don't do anything out of the goodness of their heart. They do everything for money. Remember that the abominable church from 1 Nephi 13 in the Book of Mormon talks about, this church wants gold and silver. That's what it's after. And that they put a yoke of iron on the Most High's chosen people, and they put them into bondage. So if you're going to put someone into bondage, you're going to make them work so you can make some money. Because everything about this group is about nothing but money. Okay? So we're going to start here at the top here. First paragraph. Until after the close of the year 1788, the Indians who were engaged in the labors about the mission, okay, so what labors? They're not really telling you, had resided in nearby huts of the type to which they had always been accustomed. Oh, yeah, they're always used to living in huts. Oh, okay. If you say so, man. Okay. But early in 1798, 19 substantial single-room adobe cabins with tile roofs were constructed for them, not far from the southwest, of the main mission buildings. These serve partially to house the now rapidly increasing converts. Now, I'm not saying this was it was at the Santa Barbara Mission. Okay, I was just showing you a picture of the Santa Barbara Mission. Okay, so they were surrounded by a substantial adobe wall, over 8 feet in height, with but a single gateway, which was locked promptly at 9 o'clock each night and not opened until time for morning prayer. So every night you had to be in at a certain time. Doors are locked, and it sounds like you're not allowed to leave. That's kind of sounded like a little bit of prison to me. Now it says, these new surroundings, we are given to understand, were for the furtherance of a more orderly mode of life. Yeah, prison can be pretty orderly because you're kind of on a fixed schedule because you're in prison. These people just love the way that they use these words to make it sound real, real sweet. Okay. The next year saw 31 similar cabins added to the foregoing. Wow, man, that's awesome. And you guys are just hooking them up with housing. You're getting free labor apparently, but you're hooking them up with housing. You're just concentrating on the free housing supposedly that you're giving them, but they're not free because they're probably having to work for all this, right? So let's continue here. These were each 12 feet wide by 18 feet long, with one door and one small opening. Okay. This compact village arrangement, while it outwardly bore semblance of greatly improved conditions for the Indians, and certainly lent itself to better discipline, yet clearly led to fatal results. Now, I kind of went in a little bit more here so you guys can see it, okay? Just made it a little bit bigger here at the end here so you guys can see it. We read in the records of that year that the living neophytes at that time numbered 864. But the death register at the close of the same year discloses the startling fact that 662 deaths had occurred in the 13 years of mission activities. In other words, over 43% of all the converts had perished. 43%, huh? That's not really good odds if you become a convert and go live at the mission. I mean, it's supposed to be a godly situation going on right here. God's supposed to have ordained, you becoming a Christian or you becoming a Catholic, and if God had done that, I would think that he would have more than, I don't know, 57% of you guys stay alive. I would think that he would have been blessing this whole arrangement, and death would not have been just coming so frequently to these people. But apparently there must be some kind of an issue going on right here. So let's continue. Why were so many of their native? Why were so many of them dying? Let's find out. The Indians appear to have been aware of the fatal tendency of their environment, so they were aware that a lot of us are seen to be dying over here. For we read in the chronicles of recalcitrant runaways and of the punishment inflicted on them if they were caught. Runaways. Wait. If they're running away, that would kind of mean that they're kind of stuck somewhere, right? Because if you're able to freely come and go as you please, they wouldn't be calling them runaways. So it sounds like if you ran away and you got caught, you got punished. And they probably made examples of the runaways so the other ones wouldn't run away. That seems to be a common theme that they would do at the plantation, correct? If you got caught running away, they would probably beat you half to death, if not kill you in front of the others natives right there, or the slaves, as you want to call them. And in order you wouldn't try to leave yourself. Make an example out of you. Which I could do with Willie Lynch. The Willie Lynch letter talks about how they would find the biggest, strongest male that they possibly could, and then they would, attach him to 4 horses, each limb attached to one of the horses, and then they would make the horses run in opposite directions and rip him apart. And they would make the women and the other men and the children watch. So inflicting, fear in the people. These are the things that Willie Lynch told them that, you could do in order to, gain control of these people. These are kind of tactics that these Europeans had used. Fear tactics. Terrorizing the people. And it looks like they were doing exactly the same thing right here. Again, the Indians appear to have been aware of the fatal tendency of their environment. For we read in the chronicles of recalcitrant runaways and the punishments inflicted on them if they were caught. So if they run away and you get caught, something horrible is about to happen to you. Now let's find out some of these activities they were making the natives participate in that would probably make them want to run away. It was during this period also that the custom of peonage was inaugurated. What is peonage? Well, it's like a peon, but let's find out exactly what that is. Let's see here. Peonage. The use of laborers bound in servitude because of debt. Well, they didn't really owe them anything, so that couldn't have been it, right? Now let's look at B. A system of convict labor by which convicts are leased to contractors. That sounds like it right there. A system of convict labor. Yeah, you're a convict, you're a prisoner, right? By which convicts, prisoners, are leased to contractors. You think they were getting paid for this? Because this sounds a lot like what they do with, convict leasing, even till now, making them work in these jails for pennies for companies that are, making millions and millions or billions of dollars. There's no new thing under the sun. So we thought that was something new, but that was something that was happening in these missions. So it was during this period also that the custom of peonage was inaugurated. Indians who had been trained to the crafts by the padres, oh, that was so nice of them to teach you a trade, teach you, because that was the Christian thing to do, to teach you a trade so that you wouldn't be self-sufficient and able to live on your own on the land like you had been doing for thousands of years. So they taught you a trade. So what exactly did they do when they taught you this trade? Let's see. Indians who had been trained to the crafts by the padres were frequently bound out to the soldiers and others. Kind of like forced, like peonage, like convict leasing, given to someone else to work for. Okay. Receiving no recompense for their labors. Oh, wow. Sounds like slavery. Oh, thank you so much, Father, for teaching me a trade so that you can force me to go work for free. Okay. The scant returns for such service accruing to the mission. Now, how do we know it was scant returns? How do we know that the missions weren't making all this money? That's what they say here. I would like to see the receipts of what they were getting paid. But they got to say, oh, the scant returns for such service accruing to the mission. This led to such reprehensible practices that the custom was later discouraged and eventually nearly discontinued. Okay. They almost stopped it. They didn't stop it, but they almost stopped it. All right. But not until the seeds of degradation had become widely disseminated. So this must have been happening for a long time, because it says it was widely disseminated. This is something that was going on all over the place, going on a lot. That's amazing, isn't it? So this pretty much confirms the fact that these missions were jails, places of incarceration. Then they would force them to learn a trade, and then they would just lease them out, give them, and the church was just making so little money doing that. Oh man, if you had about 1,000 people and you got about 400 or 500 of them that you can actually rent out, I'm sure it wasn't a scant amount. It wasn't a small amount. I'm sure that's exactly why these churches were making, and this religion was making so much money, because that is what is in their DNA. They're all about money. You see this? This is the Most High giving us an opportunity to see the plight of our ancestors. And it's our job to bring out this information and this truth, because the other nations are all confederate to keep it hidden. Psalms 83 is, they're all confederate to keep all this information hidden. They don't want, to have to face up to the things that they have done. Now, if you look at, hold on real quick, peonage again. I visited one mission recently up north, and I'm going to probably do a couple of videos on that, because, again, they just tell on themselves, because they really can't help themselves. But this was actually the inside of the mission of Santa Barbara. Beautiful building. But you know that our ancestors, their spirits, went through hell. Our people went through hell in these places. And now they're lifted up, and, people go into these places and they're just like, awestruck. But they don't realize I don't care about the people that, lost their lives, were tortured, raped, killed, in these places. But see, their story must be told. And that is our job. These are our people, and they were, treated horribly in these places, and no one has told their story until now. And all praises to the Most High. He's given us the resources and the opportunity, and the ability to be able to bring out this information and share this information. Because the vast majority of people are going to go to these missions, they're going to see how beautiful it looks and everything else, and they're going to not even think about the people that they exploited in order to build and bring up and be able to sustain a building like this and a church like this, that it just has like insatiable appetite for money, for resources. So when they had the opportunity to do the right thing, they did the damn wrong thing. They did the worst thing. They enslaved our people. They exploited our people. They kept all the resources for themselves. And that's why they know that they cannot repay what they've done. That's why they don't try to. That's why when it's always brought up, it turns into well, it's not just for you, it's for everyone. Even though not everyone went through the horrible things, the horrible events that had took place at these missions. This is why it's important to go wherever the Most High takes you, because He is going to reveal with sending the Holy Spirit to give us this information, going to bring all things back into our knowledge. And this is why it's important to go to any and everywhere that the Most High sends us. All praise the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.